Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again to rank the MCU movies and shows. And first off, I haven't seen everything. I have just seen what I've seen. I have seen 47 movies and shows in this universe, technically. A lot of these things, well, some of them are actually just now canon in the MCU because of recent movies. And that's kind of spoiling a little bit, but who cares? You'll be excited, whatever. So, 47 things ranked worst to best. Go check out Safi's video. She, as usual, sleepy Safi. So sorry about that. And then sorry if there is an interrupting noise. There is a machine doing some sort of work in the far background, and sometimes it comes around and makes noise. So today, that is. Number 47 is Loki. Now, I was really excited for Loki, although I thought it's stupid to have 6 episodes. As usual, everything is rushed nowadays. Everything is worrying about, oh no, we're overstaying our welcome. We can't have more than this amount of episodes, and we can only go to 5 seasons or less because we don't want to overstay our welcome. And so all TV shows suck nowadays badly because they're so restrained. They're so they got these constraints on them, these creative constraints that they have put on themselves. And that's not the worst part. The worst part about Loki is the feminazi shit. You got tons of agendas. You got all these, of course, you have these strong, powerful women characters who are basically just diversity quota hires, and they're so much better than Loki, and they beat him up all the time, and they tase him, and they do that thing with the whatever that thing was, they melt people. And then, of course, the bad guy is female Loki, and she's a lot better than Loki, too. And then, of course, Loki is bisexual, because the director was bisexual. And so, it's all about her and her stupid sexuality that nobody fucking cares about. And that's just the least of this fucking show's problems. I couldn't even finish this shit. I hate it. I hate Loki with a passion. This was trash. It was boring, needless shit of all the things you could have done with that amazing decision. I mean, I was really excited in Avengers End Game when Loki got the stone and then he teleported away. I was like, oh shit. Like, genuinely, I thought if I was the maker of that movie, which, oh, thank God I wasn't, because I would have made a completely different movie. It would have been like 6 hours long. But I would have had Loki become the villain of the movie to make it come full circle. Like, he's supposed to die anyway. And so it could have been actually a pretty sad thing for him to become the villain again and for Thor to have to kill him again. I think that could have been a lot better than what they did with this whole stupid thing where nobody has any control of their lives because of this time organization, and they control everything. The TCA, whatever the fuck those fuckers are called, got Owen Wilson, and he's just like, hey, I'm Owen Wilson, and I'm in the show, and I have a mustache, and I like to jet ski, but I can't jet ski. And it's like, fuck off. Okay, 46 is The New Mutants. I don't know whatever the fuck they were thinking about with this movie. This is another movie where they had creative constraints that they put on themselves. Those idiots who made this movie decided they wanted to pay homage to Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The twist is, number one, it's PG-13, so already, fuck that. Number two, the main villain is this extremely nice, woman, and she plays this evil doctor, but she's so nice and likable that she's a terrible villain. And the story is just completely pathetic, stupid, boring. You know, you got this, it's another movie where there's an asylum and there's only like 3 people in it, and then the rest of the asylum is empty. You know, there's just, this movie's so bad. Like, you got, you know, Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's doing this shitty accent because they're too lazy to hire a real Russian girl or whatever she's supposed to be. So they get Anya Taylor-Joy, and Anya's like, you know, she's going around calling the Native American girl like funny names, and, you know, they have to work together at the end to defeat the evil doctor. It's just, ugh. I can't believe I paid money to watch The New Mutants. Like, I hate this movie so much. Like, oh God. 45 is X-Men 3 Last Stand. I have seen all 3 of the originals, but this is the only one that I can remember, and it's because as a kid, I had shitty taste, and I would watch this movie over and over again as a kid, and so I actually remember this one the most. I still don't really remember it, and I still hate it. Like, there's a lot of stuff in it that I hate, like especially the ending fight, the climactic fight, you know, with the Wolverine and Phoenix. That story was done so badly. I hated it. But the sad thing is that in the whole series, I really loved Mystique. She was like my favorite thing about the series, and she was so cool. Her and Magneto. Her and Magneto were the stars of the original trilogy, but the third one sucked. Then 44 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I was really excited about this movie. The trailer made it look really good. You had Evangeline Lilly. I was excited to get some eye candy of her. And you know, I love Paul Rudd. I love Ant-Man as a character. But this movie just sucked. Like, it just sucked so badly. It was basically a giant joke. And it was basically a comedy with some romance in it, I guess. But this really started the trend of the feminazi Marvel, where, you know, all the men are idiots and then all the women are better. And, you know, it's a trend that's still continuing. And in this movie, it's just, I didn't even finish it, honestly. Like, I just could not stand this comedy joke, light kids movie. Like, just throw this shit in the trash. And then you got tokenized Ghost, or whatever that villain was supposed to be, and, you know, she was trash. You know, I don't know why they tokenized her. Really bad. But it's too bad, because I was really excited for this one, actually. Like, really excited. Regardless of all the red flags. 43 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I really fucking hated this movie. I could barely get through it. I had so much trouble watching this movie that I had to go get popcorn, so that the act of eating popcorn, could keep me engaged and focused and awake. Like, that's how much I wanted to just stop watching this trash. You know, you got my favorite, Scarlet Witch. She was my favorite MCU character from the time that she was on until WandaVision, basically. Or actually until, WandaVision. I love her character. I thought, you know, she's a really good actress, it turns out, and I loved all the stuff with her. I didn't like how they changed her costume in Age of Ultron, because I thought that, you know, it's another example of like, oh, we have to change things because we want it to be realistic. And, you know, I hate that shit. I hate that delusional shit that they do. But I love her character so much. And then in this movie, and in WandaVision too, she's just this evil bitch. And like, honestly, she still did a great job acting. But the movie was terrible. There's so many bad things in the movie. You know, you got America Chavez. Apparently, I'm not allowed to criticize her because the actress playing her is a teenager. So that means, since the actress is a teenager, I'm not allowed to criticize the character in the movie, you know, the fictional character. Well, fuck that shit. This character sucks. America Chavez, all she is a diversity hire. She's nothing but a diversity quota hire. And then you got Doctor Strange. He's basically a side character in his own movie. And the plot is an embarrassment. Of course, written by the dipshit who wrote Loki. And what a surprise. What a complete embarrassment that was. I mean, nobody would ever accept this script. This was barely even a script. It was basically a series of shitty MCU events. That's what I would nickname it. Number 42 is Thor Ragnarok. Basically what happened was, you know, Thor is a niche character. He's a character where not everybody is going to like him. You know, that happens with every ensemble movie, is you'll have a character who not everyone connects with that character. You know, like in the Suicide Squad. You know, not everybody connected with all the different characters. You know, people liked what they liked. Some people didn't like any of the characters in the Suicide Squad. And, you know, Thor, he's a different character. And if you stay true to the material that people loved back when it was good and before they made it SJW, then you'll have a good movie. Like, I've watched Thor in the animated shows, and he is such a fantastic character. He's so cool. He's a classic hero. And in this movie, they made a decision to basically make him into a joke. And then, of course, feminazi bullshit too. They had this tokenized Valkyrie girl, and she's basically this bratty bitch who sits around guzzling alcohol to look cool because, you know, it's cool for a woman to drink alcohol, I guess. Like, I don't know why they were doing that. It was just straight up like, oh, let's have this agenda character do things to make her look cool. And then you have Hulk, and they shoehorn in the Planet Hulk storyline. And I need to go faster, but fuck this movie. Fuck it so hard. This movie fucking sucks. What a joke. What a complete joke of a character Thor is. Nobody likes Thor anymore, and I can't wait to destroy that guy's movie. I can't wait. Because he said, you know what the director said? And this is evident to how bad the movie's going to be. The director said, I can't wait. I will destroy all the comics. I'll throw all the comics in the garbage. I can't wait to shit all over the mythology. Well, guess what? I can't wait to shit all over your shitty fucking feminazi movie. Fucking joke. And then I'd like to point out, I forgot Morbius even existed. So Safi didn't even have it on her list. You know, Morbius is just kind of a joke. It's kind of like a movie that, you know, you wonder why it even exists. Because it's just so bad that, like, you know, it's just like, why even talk about it? Because, you know, it was basically trying to be... It was written by the same guy who did Dracula Untold. Nobody liked that movie, so I don't know why they would let that guy make another vampire movie. And, you know, honestly, they get what they deserve. If I had known that the guy who did Dracula Untold did Morbius, I never would have watched it. And it would have gone right here. That's why I'm talking about it. It would have gone right above Thor Ragnarok. You know, I will say, though, that it is better than these other ones I've just talked about, so... And it kind of gave me a little bit of an American Psycho feel, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Because Jared Leto, he was an American Psycho, and I was like, you know what? Like, instead of mirroring Dracula Untold onto Morbius, you should have taken more inspiration from American Psycho. That would have been great. And Jared Leto, he's basically like an alien. He has no acting range whatsoever. He is just completely an alien to where, like, I saw no transformation at all with this character. Sorry about that. 41 is Spider-Man Homecoming, aka Young Iron Man. You know, what this movie fucking sucks. Like, it's straight up. I was really excited at first because they had this thing where they said that for each year of high school, Spider-Man was going to have a movie, and it was going to be like Harry Potter. And the early ideas for this movie sounded really good. But then I saw the movie, and it was basically Young Iron Man. And to top that off, Tom Holland, he is a babyish little girl, and I hate him as Spider-Man. He is so bad. He is so immature and unlikable and goofy and dumb. And to top that off, you have this cast of side characters who are his friends. And you have Token Mary Jane, who is renamed Michelle. And she is basically, in this movie, a ripoff of Allison from The Breakfast Club, except not as attractive and not as good acting. And she's really bad. She's so unlikable, and there's this one point where, like, she's just randomly flicking off Spider-Man, and it was almost like she was flicking off the audience. And then, of course, you have Token Ned, and he's just this big fat goofball who just has no relevance whatsoever. He's just like, hey, I'm a big fat joke, because the fat characters in movies always have to be a big fat joke. Yay! And then you had Token Flash Thompson, and he's nothing like Flash Thompson at all. He's supposed to be like the rich, spoiled Indian kid bully. Well, I'll tell you guys something. I was friends in high school with the rich, spoiled Indian boy, quote-unquote, stereotype. And, he's nothing like that. They're nothing like that, like in this movie. He was a lot cooler than the guy in this movie. And so I just, they did a terrible job of doing that caricature. And even, like, I could have written a better version of that caricature. So they did a poor job. And it was just an embarrassing casting decision. And then, of course, if you criticize that, you're racist. Typical. And but the character was trash. And it is the worst, probably the worst comic book casting ever done. Ever in history. And I'm not saying that the actor is bad. I like the actor, actually, so I feel bad whenever I talk about... I always feel bad whenever I talk about these characters and I say these mean things, because I really like most of these actors, and it's just I think that they get badly treated by the writers, because the writers suck. Nobody knows how to write anymore except for a couple of people, like me. So yeah. Then and I will say though that I like Vulture. I thought that he was really good, but they basically just ripped off the Green Goblin storyline where he knows, and it's like the suspenseful storyline with him, and and I also hate Aunt May. She's not Aunt May at all. She was terrible. I don't care that she's hot. She's terrible. She's not my Aunt May. Number 40 is The Amazing Spider-Man. Speaking of shitty Spider-Man movies, what a stupid, edgy, try-hard, emo, punk movie this is. Wow. This was just completely terrible, which is sad because the trailer made this movie look really good. I was really excited based off the trailer. But the Lizard was terrible. Spider-Man himself was terrible. He was not relatable. The only good thing about this whole movie is the thing that I was least excited about, which was Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was fantastic, and I really loved her in this movie. But everything else about it, I hate it. I hate this movie. And it is this bad that it's this low. And I might have to make this video multiple parts too, because that's how much I like to talk about this, even though I know it'll probably not get many viewers. Sorry about that noise. You guys might be able to hear it right now. Number 39 is X-Men Apocalypse. Ugh. Where do I even begin with X-Men Apocalypse? Like, number one, learning. I'm learning. You know, you got Oscar Isaac doing a terrible villain performance. And it's sad because Tom Hardy was supposed to be Apocalypse. And I think he could have been fantastic as the character. But the script was terrible. Although I will say that this movie is enjoyable. Like, I could put this on and enjoy it like in a guilty pleasure type of way. I kind of like how Phoenix comes out near the end. That's kind of fun. But there really isn't much to like about this movie. I'm trying to think, is there anything I liked in this movie? X-Men Apocalypse? No. Like, I remember watching this. I remember the terrible experience I had watching this. Oh, I know what to talk about. Jennifer Lawrence. I hate Jennifer Lawrence. The only redeeming quality about Jennifer Lawrence is her leaked nude photos that I've seen. I've never seen those. Wink, wink. Those are the only redeeming things about her. She is the worst. No, I take it back with Tony Ravioli. Jennifer Lawrence is the worst comic book casting in comic book movie history. Her performance as Mystique pisses me off to the point of where, like, I swear, the number one most punchable actress in Hollywood is Jennifer Lawrence. Like, every time I just see her face, like, her face just pisses me off. Like, she always has this, like, glare, like she's, like, looking down at the audience, like she just hates you with a passion, and she despises you because you're not a Hollywood elite like her. And, just everything about her, I hate her. And her performance as Mystique, she had this little temper tantrum, one of these privileged actor temper tantrums where she refuses to wear the blue makeup and be naked with the blue makeup on because, she doesn't like the feeling of the blue makeup. Wah, wah, wah. You signed up to play Mystique, you dumbass bitch! What did you think was going to happen? I mean, God, these actresses have got a problem. The actors, too. These actors in Hollywood suck. They have an ego problem that they think they can pull this shit where she signed up to play Mystique. Mystique, who is infamous for the blue skin, and she refuses to do it. What an entitled bitch! And she's in this movie, and she just brings the whole movie down. She's so bad. Her line delivery, it's like she's not even trying. It pisses me off so much. I hate Jennifer Lawrence. I could do a whole video talking about how much I despise Jennifer Lawrence in these movies. She's the worst. I hate Jennifer Lawrence. Especially in this movie. Mystique. You're gonna call yourself Mystique? Fuck off with that shit. You're not my Mystique. Okay, so anyways, 38 is Deadpool 2. This was a really disappointing sequel. As usual, got more feminazi bullshit in a Deadpool movie. That's the most surprising thing, is that in a Deadpool movie, you have feminazi agendas. You got Domino tokenized. It's too bad, too, because once again, I love the actress. She's really, really hot. Like, she might be one of the top 5 hottest actresses in Hollywood right now. But it's just too bad she's this tokenized character. She looks like the dog from Spaceballs, or what was that guy called? I can't remember. That's why I said the dog, because I can't remember. The guy with the the doggy painted eye. That's what she looks like in this movie. And it's too bad. I really love her character. I love her as an actress, but I hated her character. And I hated the plot. I thought the plot was really uninspired and mediocre. The only thing I really like about Deadpool 2 is I kind of like the running joke about Cable being racist. I thought that was funny, I guess. And I also love the post-credits scene. But the one thing that really makes this movie even worse is the kid. The New Zealand kid, whatever the fuck that kid's name is. The Where the Wild Things Are kid. I hate this kid so much. It's ironic because this movie is all about how Deadpool has to protect this annoying ass character, and I have never hated a kid character this badly until Chucky and also other recent things. American Horror Story Season 10. This character, this fucking spoiled brat kid character, I hate him. And he's just the worst thing ever made, and he's so bad. It pisses me off the more I even think about this shitty movie. Number 37 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie is just a big garbage mess, but the thing is that I enjoy it on a guilty pleasure level. I've seen this movie quite a few times because I have a lot of fun with it. Even though it is bad. But the thing is, the movie's beautiful. This is probably the most beautiful Spider-Man movie ever made. And the special effects artists did a really good job. Other than that, there's nothing really good to say about it. It doesn't really piss me off that much anymore, though, so I don't really have... Because back when it came out, I thought there was going to be the rest of the series... So I would get really angry talking about it to make sure that they would hear me and then not make any more. This movie sucked. 36, Iron Man 3. This movie really pissed me off too. I was so excited for this movie based off of that trailer, and I really feel like the trailer completely falsely advertised the movie. And as well, before we talk about the Mandarin twist, which probably is the worst comic book movie plot ever in history, almost, besides Loki. There's a female villain in this movie, and she's basically, and I say that because I can't remember her name, she's Tony Stark's ex-girlfriend, and I really loved her character. I thought that, if we're talking about Marvel villains... she's probably one of my top 5 villains, and I loved her character, and she was the best thing about the movie for me. And it was sad that I learned that they wanted her to be the main villain, but then the studio wouldn't let them. And I thought that's unfortunate because I really liked her character. I thought she was awesome. She was really, really good. She was the best part of the movie, for sure. And, but then you have this Mandarin twist, and it pissed me off so badly. I remember watching this in the hotel room that I was in, and, I legitimately thought, I stopped the video, I paused it, and I said, is this a prank? Are they pranking us? This is not the movie. I am not going to accept this. It was the real movie. And I remember I have never been that angry before watching a comic book movie. And the rest of the movie is pretty dull. I got to admit, though, I kind of like some of the stuff, I kind of like some of the stuff near the end. The thing with Tony Stark was hanging there, and then, wasn't he talking to that one bad guy who was just a random thug? I remember liking that, and there were a couple of things I liked. But overall, it was a huge disappointment because this is Iron Man's arch nemesis, and, once again, they ruined him. Number one, they made him Ben Kingsley. But the thing is, the reason why I don't complain very much is because he gave a great performance. And if the actor gives a good performance, I will slightly forgive any bad casting decisions. So that's why. It's just too bad he wasn't the real Mandarin, though. Like, that was totally huge mistake. Wow. It's too bad we didn't get the movie that they falsely advertised in the trailer. 35 is WandaVision. I liked a lot of stuff in this show. I really wanted to love it. I was excited for it. But it was terrible because I hated what they did to Wanda. But the thing that really pissed me off was the fact that, not what they did to Scarlet Witch, but the fact that they had all the characters justify her actions and forgive her and say she's the greatest ever, who cares, she can do whatever she wants apparently. She can go around taking hostage of children, torturing children, taking an entire town, forcing them to reenact sitcoms because she's grieving. Like, who fucking cares? Who cares that she's grieving? Ed Gein was grieving that his mom died. Was that an excuse for Ed Gein to go around killing people? No, it wasn't. So I hated WandaVision. A lot of other SJW things in it too. And it was too bad. Once again, I was excited for it, so sad. I didn't even finish it too. 34 is Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is just so forgettable. It was basically like a kid's movie. I really didn't like what they did with characters like with Gamora, what they did with her. I don't know, like, I did not like this movie. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's just very childish, like Safi said. 33 is Spider-Man, No Way Home, Young Iron Man. God. Each and every movie I come upon, it's like my brain is going to explode from talking about this shit. Wow. What do I even say? Wow. People only like this movie because they get to have their little member berries, and they get to see Green Goblin, and they get to see Dr. Octopus. But then you also have to suffer through tokenized Electro, and you have to suffer through, the other two villains who are basically like one-note extras in the background. And then you have the Spider-Men who come back. We get to see Tobey again. Not in Spider-Man 4, which, check out my Spider-Man 4 pitch, because it should be the Spider-Man 4 that gets made if they make one. I fully support that. Obviously, it's not a perfect pitch at all. It might not even be a great pitch. It's just a good pitch, but it is pretty good. And, I'd much rather have that than have this, than have this fan service shit. Because at the end of the day, this movie is supposed to be Young Iron Man's movie, and it is not his movie. Like, he is basically a little side bitch in his own movie. And this was their last chance. This was supposed to be the conclusion to the trilogy, and they did a terrible job. This is still a preschool Iron Man, and he has no maturity, and he does not stand out as a lead character. He does not stand on his own. He had to invite other characters to come in the movie to elevate him. And on top of that, you have, they have basically changed Zendaya. Basically, that's what her character is, Zendaya. She's not even the character anymore that they started off with, the ripoff of Allison. She is basically now just this really boring, bland Zendaya. And Zendaya is already bland enough because she's like a model type of actress. So she doesn't really have any range at all. And in this movie especially, she's just a trash love interest. Like, she's the worst love interest of all the Spider-Man movies put together. It's not even close. And on top of that, and I like Zendaya. She's fine, I guess. She's not done anything good at all, acting wise, honestly. And no, I haven't seen Euphoria because I'm not interested in watching that childish type of shit. And then the worst part of the movie is, of course, Aunt May. Taking Aunt May, doing the ultimate SJW thing, and making her do the great power, great responsibility line as she's dying. What a complete slap in the face that was. Basically, pretending like Uncle Ben doesn't even exist or matter. And then at the end, her tombstone is all by itself because her tombstone is a strong, independent tombstone. Of course, can't have Uncle Ben next to her tombstone. Can't have that. I do like Green Goblin, though. I loved his performance. He did fantastic, obviously, as I knew that he would be able to. The Spider-Men, they did a good job, except for young Iron Man. And then Doc Ock did a great job. Other than that, trash. Complete garbage. Number 32 is The Defenders Season 1. This was supposed to be another conclusion, and that it just completely fell flat on its face. This whole mini season was like a... That's exactly what The Defenders was. It really disappointing. It was basically a Daredevil story, and it was a shitty story at that. You have this melodrama between him and Elektra. Oh no, I don't want to kill Elektra because Elektra is a fucking hot-ass bitch. She's a hot Greek girl, and I don't want to kill a hot Greek girl. Oh no, even though she's killing people, I'm crying. I'm having Daredevil tears. Oh no. That's basically the whole fucking show. And then I will say, though, that I loved seeing Luke Cage and Iron Fist together. I thought that they were a great duo, and it made me so excited for the future of Marvel Netflix shows. But this was just a big disappointment, and the fact that, this was what everything was building to, ugh. Okay, 31, Spider-Man Far From Home. This one was a huge improvement on the first Spider-Man movie, Young Iron Man. I thought that this was a fun but flawed ride, if that's the best way to say it. It was a pretty bad, but I enjoyed it. I thought that Jake Gyllenhaal was pretty good as Mysterio. He's not as good as Bruce Campbell would be as Mysterio, though. It was an okay movie. It's just, it's nothing special. It's media. It's basically like a summer movie. They do this thing where I will say that his friends, they're the most likable out of all the three movies. The three diversity hire friends. They're the most likable in this movie. Ned isn't a fuck up like in the first one. And he's not like an OP wizard like in the third one. And he's not that goofy, he's not the fat goofy stereotype, he's pretty equal. And then Flash Thompson, he's not that bad in this movie actually. And Zendaya, I will say she was okay in this movie, but I really wish that they would have stuck to their guns and kept on having her be the weird gothic girl. I don't understand why they changed her character into like a true crime geek, like a true crime nerd type person. I don't know. And I don't like how Spider-Man gives up his Jarvis glasses to, Mysterio. That was really dumb. But the last act was really, really good, where Mysterio has all those illusions with, the skeletons and the stuff like that. And then it really felt like a Spider-Man movie at the end. There was this fantastic moment where he was on the plane with Happy, and Happy was like, Iron Man, he always wanted you to stand on your own. And, and it was really cool because it felt like the only moment in the whole series where he was finally stopping the progress of being young Iron Man. And, him making his own suit, I really liked that, because it felt like, okay, this is a Spider-Man that I will watch. And then his final encounter with Mysterio, pretty good. Pretty good. 30, Luke Cage. Ugh. Well, okay, I will say I love this season at first. I don't really like Misty Knight, though. I thought she was annoying and bratty of a character. I didn't really like Luke Cage in his own show. I had number one red flag is that he took influence from like some Black Lives Matter person, and so he chose in honor of that person, that whoever that was. Sorry that I don't know their name, but I don't really care. It's just some random guy in like his hoodie. He was wearing like a hoodie, and so Luke Cage decided that he should be wearing a hoodie too. And he should, look like that guy in honor of him. And it's like, that's not what this is about. This is about the character in the comics. And there was some really great stuff in this show. It was very goofy, a great throwback to 70s blaxploitation. I love some of the goofy moments, like the origin episode with him wearing the original costume. I loved later on the fun and stupid villain who was like his brother, and there was that one moment where he was like, what was Luke Cage's name or whatever? He was like saying his name over and over, like Charles. It was really funny. I remember laughing at that so hard. But the thing that really pissed me off was my favorite part of this whole season, and series for that matter, because I didn't watch 2 or 3. My favorite part was Cottonmouth. He was fucking awesome. I mean, the Netflix Marvel villains were perfection. And Cottonmouth was amazing. And he gave such a great performance. He was such a great villain. He was brutal, but he was also sympathetic at the same time. But then they kill him off, and then they have his sister take over, because agenda. And so that was sad. But still, I like Luke Cage. I'd watch it again. I started watching the second season, and I hated it. When he dabs and everything. Oh God. I need to finish it, though, because I really miss the Marvel Netflix universe. They did such a better job in the movies. 29 is Avengers End Game. This was just another giant disappointment. There wasn't really anything to like in this movie. It was basically just plot conveniences, the movie, and it was a very low stakes mission that they went on. They made it seem like it'd be really high stakes, the way they built up to it, but then it was just like, it was basically like a theme park ride, where they're riding to all these different movies to see, like, oh, remember that, and they're like kind of, there's not really any drama or intensity at all, and then the final battle is just like a big giant pile of shit. Like, it's basically a big giant pile of CGI shit, and then you had like Captain America, and he uses Thor's hammer, even though he never gets worthy of the hammer ever in the movie. Like, it just, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I was disappointed. It was not good. 28 was Avengers Infinity War. This movie has some really good moments. Even Endgame did. Endgame had the Scarlet Witch moment where he's like, I don't even know who you are. And then she just destroys him. I love that moment. That was really good. Josh Brolin, he did a really good job as Thanos. But Infinity War was a really dumbed down non-movie. I mean, it basically wasn't even a movie. Like, it was just action, 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 end. And there were some really good moments, though, especially the opening was very dark and depressing. And I loved the opening. The opening was fantastic, even though it was kind of rushed, the way it was done, the way that they, like, cut to immediately after he had already destroyed the ship and gotten the other stone. He already had one stone. But the scene where Iron Man faces off against Thanos is probably like one of the greatest Marvel moments of all time. It was just so epic to see Iron Man, the first MCU character, go up against Thanos, and for them to just be on equal ground and to be like fighting equal. Like, it was so cool. And then the moment where Thor arrives in Wakanda, that was a very epic moment where I felt like, okay, I can't wait to see Thor finally be like the character that I loved in the first two movies, back when he was that character. But he wasn't. They just kind of ruined it. And then there was some other stuff I liked too. But the things that I really hated was the character assassination of the characters Hulk, and then obviously, God, there's so much to talk about. Oh, Hulk. He wasn't even Hulk. His arc, his whole character in these two end movies was so bad, garbage. And then what they did to Thor in Endgame, making him the Big Lebowski, ugh. God, I hated that so much. I gotta move on. Whatever. Okay. Oh no. Though I will say the biggest problem with Infinity War, if you want to pinpoint it to one issue in particular, it was the power scaling, because the powers were not consistent at all in the movie. In particular, the biggest embarrassment was the scene where Scarlet Witch was running for her life, and she's with those people, and she's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then Captain America comes to save her, like, like Captain America has to come and save Scarlet Witch. Like, just, that was so dumb. I hated that. Like, come on. Like, because now in Doctor Strange 2, we see she has, like, unlimited power, and she's not even able to beat, like, that one random woman villain character or whatever they were. I can't remember, like, these forgettable villains. That was stupid. 27 is Iron Man 2. I saw this with my brother, and I fell asleep watching it, but then I went back and watched it on Netflix, and I actually kind of liked this movie. This was back when Iron Man still wasn't a sanitized kind of kids movie version of Iron Man. This was back when he was still a womanizer. He was still, an alcohol addict, and, they were going towards that dark route, and it's too bad they didn't get to go there because of MCU. And that's what I love about this movie, though. And I loved Rhodey. I loved Don Cheadle in this movie, at least at the end where they team up. I did not like Whiplash at all, so I'm not going to defend him, but I did like the other guy, Sam Rockwell, whatever he was cool. He was a pretty good villain. And I just thought it was an entertaining movie. Black Widow, this was her first movie, and she was a great character because she was very sexy and very deadly at the same time. She had a great little action sequence, and I loved her character in this movie. Very good. contrary to, what the actress said, all the bullshit she said about how she was just an object in Iron Man 2. And it's like, I don't think you even watched Iron Man 2, to be honest. Like, you probably are just like, all these feminazis, feminazis, their biggest issue is that they make issues out of non-issues. Like, oh, the sky is blue. Oh, why did you say the sky is blue? Are you prejudiced towards other colors? Are you not saying that the sky can be orange or yellow? That's the type of shit they do. 26 is Black Panther. This movie was extremely overrated. The thing, though, that I love the music. This is probably the best music in MCU history. Fantastic music. We all expected them to have a shitty rap soundtrack with shitty rap music, like in the trailers, but instead they had this great African drumming music, and I loved it. I really liked some of the acting from Michael B. Jordan, but I did not like his character. And, the biggest problem with this movie, besides the fact that they killed off Black Panther's arch nemesis, Ulysses S. Claw, the biggest problem is the fact that Black Panther is not the star of his own movie. His sisters are the star. His sister is the star. And then that female leader, Okoye, she's the star. And then Killmonger, he's the star. And then all underneath them is Black Panther himself. And he was weak. And he was not good. Which was sad because I really loved him in Civil War. And I was really excited to see his movie. Contrary to, what people would think. The movie's pretty boring and pretty mediocre. There's a lot of plot holes in it. And Black Panther's not the star. Everyone else is, except for Black Panther. And then you have 25, Captain America, the First Avenger. This movie, I really loved a lot of stuff in it. I loved the origin of Captain America. I loved Steve Rogers, seeing him turn into Captain America. I love Peggy Carter. In fact, I met Peggy Carter in real life at Wizard World in Philadelphia in 2016, I think it was. And, I see a kitty, sorry. I just got thrown off. As soon as I started talking about Peggy Carter, I just saw I won't make that joke. You guys know. And she was really nice, and she was really good in this movie. She's probably the best love interest in an MCU movie, and I really liked her. The problem that I had with this movie was the fact that in the middle, they had this part where they had a montage, and they basically rushed to the end. And it felt very rushed and very haphazardly done. Like they didn't have the budget to do anything else, or they had time constraints. And I really felt like I saw the whole movie in the trailer. That being said, I enjoyed this movie. I will watch it again for sure, especially for Peggy. She's a great actress, but it's just okay. 24 is Thor. This movie has a lot of great stuff in it. There's a lot of, the fight with Thor, and then that metal guy who comes down on Earth. That's really good. I love Loki in this movie, of course. I don't like tokenized Heimdall, and I don't like some of the other changes they made. I especially don't like Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings and the whole science crew on Earth. They are the worst. I hate them with a passion. I could do a whole video ranting about those characters, and I probably will get to, because Natalie Portman is coming to Thor 4 to play the tokenized female Thor. Gross. But Thor was pretty good. It was not as bad as people said it was at all. It was not boring. It was a very beautiful movie. It had a lot of great cinematography, and I really liked it. 23 is Thor: The Dark World. This movie gets hated on a lot, and it deserves a lot of the hate that it gets. At the same time, there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. It's basically a Loki movie. Like, this is what I thought the Loki show would have been. Loki breaks out of Asgard in this movie, the Asgardian prison, and he accidentally gets his mom killed, and it's a very heartbreaking sequence. And it was so awesome, though, Loki in this movie. He was the star of the film, and I really enjoyed it thanks to him. And there were also some great battles with Thor. One of the first battles was really good. Sorry, the kid, he's looking at me, and I think oh, now he's running away. Never mind. He saw me and he stopped, and then he's like, "No, I'm not going to talk to him. He's mean. He's mean towards the feminazi Marvel movies." But the one thing I will say is Natalie Portman, once again, ruining the whole film with her presence. The whole plot with her, like, absorbing one of the stones. And just, oh, God. Ugh, I hated that so much. And then, of course, Kat Dennings. Ugh. And then the whole running joke with that Skarsgård guy, with him running around naked like 10 times. That was a terrible running joke. Should have only done it once. And then Malekith, not a good villain at all. Really, the best villain was the guy who kills Thor's mom. And that was, I can't remember. He was like some big guy, he was like a big hulking demon guy. And he was a better villain than Malekith, unfortunately. Number 22 is Ant-Man. This was just a mediocre, forgettable, fun kids movie. It really pissed me off after Edgar Wright showed that fantastic Comic-Con footage, and then he departed based off of creative differences, which is a consistent problem that the MCU has with these movies, is you have filmmakers who want to make great films, and then you have the MCU studio people who want to make formula, and they want to make the same movie over and over again, and they all suck. And the movie was it was okay. Paul Rudd was very good. I loved the relationship between him and his daughter. She's a good female character in the MCU, I guess, even though I know they'll probably make her female Ant-Man at one point. The villain, he was just really goofy, mustache-twirling villain. Didn't like him at all. Ow. Sorry, I think there's like a bug in the car. 21, X-Men Days of Future Past. This movie, it's okay. It's pretty good. The problem I had with this movie was I could tell that Fox rushed the series. Because if you don't know what happened, the guy who wrote the first one, the great First Class movie, he wrote this script ahead of time. This is supposed to be the third movie. And the studio said, no, let's make that the second movie. And what a stupid idea that was. And I never knew that story, so I always hated the movie more because of not knowing that information. And they really rushed. And it was okay, though. It was pretty good. It was a fun time travel story. There was a lot of great action sequences. It was a good film. It was a good comic book film. The number one thing that I love about this movie is Quicksilver. When I originally watched this movie, or I was going to watch it, I really hated the look of Quicksilver. I hated how he looked. I can't remember the exact wording, but someone said he looked like a teenage girl at like Hot Topic or something. And it's true, like he did. But that Quicksilver was epic. And he was so amazing. And the sequence with him, of course, it was perfect. And, there's so much great stuff like that in this movie. And so, this is a good movie despite the presence of Jennifer Lawrence bringing everyone down. And then you have 20, Dark Phoenix. Oh, boo, Marco. Boo. Boo. Yeah, I know. Boo. Here's the thing. I enjoyed this movie. Despite all of its flaws, despite it being feminazi trash, I enjoyed it. I liked the story for the most part. I thought that there were a lot of flaws with the movie itself, but I did like the story, and I really loved moments in the scenes in the movie. Like I loved the helicopter scene where her and her and Magneto are fighting to lift the helicopter with their minds and everything to show who has more power. I love the train fight with all the different X-Men fighting the aliens on the train. That was awesome. I loved when the train goes underground or whatever in the city. The music. The music in this movie is the best music an MCU movie has ever had. I changed my mind about Black Panther. The music in this movie is phenomenal. And I remember hearing it in theaters and just thinking like, wow, the music is so much better than this movie deserves. But it elevated the movie. Hans Zimmer elevated this okay movie. It basically felt like a TV finale where like they're trying to have all this fake drama. I liked how they were trying to tie it together with the first one, trying to have, this kind of typical fake drama where, oh, maybe Professor X did some bad things all along, maybe. They're just questioning. They're not really saying definitively he was a bad guy like in these other feminazi movies. They're just questioning and kind of putting that out there as an option. All role-playing games do that. All RPGs do that. And so I don't know why that would be an issue to just float that idea out there. But again, there are some feminazi things in it. But no, I loved the ending. The ending with, the movie doesn't end with Dark Phoenix because she commits suicide. The movie ends with Professor X and Magneto playing a game of chess, and it is it's so sad that we're not going to get to see more of them. They are perfect for these roles, and that scene was just so satisfying to see. Like after the whole movie, to see that it was such a great feeling to end on instead of ending on, Jean Grey's School for the Mutants, which I hated that too, believe me. I love the ending, though, that they went with. Number 19 is Avengers Age of Ultron. This is a movie where I hated it originally because it's another one where they falsely advertised it in the trailer and they made it look like it was going to be a very dark movie, and it looks so good in the trailer. Ultron looked really like an epic villain. But then in the actual movie, he's just a huge joke. I will say, though, that there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. Joss Whedon, he's a great filmmaker. And one of the great things about him, he knows how to do finales. Like all of his Buffy finales are awesome for the most part. Like, even season 5, I hated season 5 of Buffy, but season 5's finale was really, really good. Even the series finale was pretty good, even though I have my issues with that. Joss Whedon knows how to do finales, and there are so many epic things in this movie. The scene where the cutting wood with Captain America, and it was basically like the start of Civil War, before Civil War even happens. That was an amazing scene. Vision was really good in the movie. I was born yesterday. And him picking up the hammer. The fight for who can pick up the hammer and Captain moving it. That was such a smart and funny moment without being too goofy and over the top. And there are so many good little things in this movie the speech with Hawkeye, where he's talking to Scarlet Witch and he's saying, it's okay, we're all just idiots in suits. We're all just people in suits. We're trying to win the fight. We're trying to defeat evil. It's okay to be afraid. And, I've loved that moment. And, that moment makes you think, why wasn't Hawkeye a part of this later stuff with Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch? Ugh. Terrible direction they went in without Joss Whedon's masterful direction. And so, yeah, I really like that movie. It is far better than all the stuff below it. I wholeheartedly say that. He's not the greatest director, though, I will say that. Like, I'm not saying, like, he's one of the best. I'm just saying he is really, really good at what he's really, really good at. And I don't think people give him enough credit because all they talk about is the personal stuff. And, honestly, who cares? And then, of course, you have the Snyder people who all just, echo each other with whatever they say about him because he's not Snyder. Like, whoever they would have gotten to direct Justice League 2017, they would have said the same things about that person. Same things. Okay, so then 18 is Spider-Man 3. This movie has grown on me over time, but I really hate a lot of the stuff that they did in this movie. There's a lot of goofy stuff in it. This movie is a guilty pleasure for me. Sam Raimi, he got fucked over by the studios, but there is a lot of good stuff in there that if you dig through the trash, you can get to the good. And I choose to look at the good in the movie. And, you got Ursula. She's great. Give me rent! I love that. Even Emo Peter, everyone laughs about that. But in the movie, it makes sense. Like, they're not saying that he's cool. They're saying that this is conflated nerd Peter. Like, this is what it would look like if he was really full of himself and everything. And so people don't really understand that part of the movie. They kind of just take it at surface level value. Sandman is also a really good villain. And I love the ending with Harry forgiving Peter for, quote-unquote, killing his dad and then coming to fight with him to save the day. I love the idea of that, and then him dying, very, very sad. There's a raccoon. Oh, shit. Oh, that was scary. 17 is Jessica Jones Season 1. This show is a mess. It is a huge mess. I do not like Jessica Jones at all. I do love the actress, and I think she does a good job given the material, but her character is just such a drag. And, she's really miserable. Oh, God, it ran under the car. She's such a miserable character in the show, and she's basically the worst part of the show. Like, the best part of the show is the villain, Purple Man. I can't remember his real name. I think it was Kilgrave. He, Peter Vincent, not Peter, well, he played Peter Vincent in the Fright Night remake. David Tennant. His performance was fantastic. He gave a Joker-level performance in this show. He was cool. Like, his power to control people's minds. Who wouldn't want to have that power, quote-unquote? But they have some really good questions about having that power. And, what if you did have that power? You couldn't turn it off. And his frustration with not being able to turn it off. And then the one episode where he kind of tricks her into think he wants to save people. And, he was so good. Like, he was the greatest. Like, I loved that character, Purple Man. I would love to just see, like, a whole series of Purple Man made by the people who made this show. So, yeah, Purple Man. 16 is Deadpool. Deadpool, this was an entertaining movie. It was a pretty good movie. It was very refreshing when I first saw it, and it was very funny the first time I saw it. It's a pretty good superhero movie. It breaks the mold in a lot of great ways, and yeah, it's pretty good. I'm glad that they were able to make it. All because of that leaked footage. That leaked test video. The movie's pretty damn good. I haven't watched it as much. I haven't rewatched it as much, but still, I remember it's really good compared to Ryan Reynolds' other superhero movies. 15 is Iron Fist Season 1. This is another one where it gets hated on a lot. But here's the thing. Number one, you got Colleen Wing. I can't remember if that's her name. She is a great love interest. She's really hot, but also she's a great character. She's a great fighter, and they had that awesome fight scene where she fights in the ring with all those guys like gladiator style, and I loved her. I loved seeing Rosario Dawson's character in this series in particular. Her character's kind of trash. Like, the way that she just shows up in every Marvel Netflix show, like, it never really works at all. But it kind of did in this show for the most part. But the thing that I loved, I really hated Iron Fist's first episode. I hated it. I was not going to watch any more of it based on what other people said. But then I gave the second episode a chance, and that's when I really fell in love with the show. And I loved Iron Fist's brother and sister. I love the dynamic that they have. It's a very unique story where it kind of reminds me of the Fantastic Four a little bit, with how they're a family and how you have just Jessica Stroup, probably one of the sexiest actresses in Hollywood, and her character is great. The brother, with his drug problem, he has a great story with his character and how he declines over the course of the season and working for the villain, basically. And then you have the father, or whoever that guy was, who comes back from the dead. The main villain of Iron Fist Season 1 comes back from the dead. He's a zombie, and he just keeps on coming back over and over again. And I thought that is the coolest thing ever. Like, another awesome villain. They did kind of have a shitty final confrontation with him. I didn't think the ending was that special. But I did overall really like this season. There was a lot of stuff to like. And I do admit that I did not really like Finn Jones as Iron Fist, but he wasn't that bad. He's not as bad as people say. He had limited time to train. He was given a shit deal, and he improves over the course of Defenders and then his future seasons. I would say that he probably would improve based on seeing him in the Defenders. So I like him. I like this show. Fuck it, who cares? I like it. That's all that matters. It's my list. 14 is The Punisher Season 1. This was a great show. A lot of action, a lot of bloody, great action with the Punisher. The Punisher is the star of it. You'd think that in whatever this came out, you'd think, oh, they're probably going to have a female character be a lot better than him, and he'll just be a weak side character. No. Punisher is the star of this show. And then you have the villain, and the villain is really good too. He's a great villain. I can't remember the villain's name though. And the final episode is really, really good, where they have that intense battle at the merry-go-round, and then they have the thing where, like, he basically breaks that guy's face into a million pieces. That was really, really good. So I love Punisher Season 1. Too bad that they fucked that up too by ending that. 13 is Logan. This movie is a masterpiece, straight up. It is pretty much flawless. Like, it is a very, very epic superhero movie. It does what Marvel Disney won't do, which is make rated R shit. They said, this is a R-rated character. We're going to give him an R-rated movie. And guess what? It is the greatest X-Men movie ever made. Because they finally did what they were supposed to do with the character, Wolverine. And, he had a great relationship with Laura. Laura was awesome. Professor X was awesome. And the villain was pretty good. He was probably the weakest part, though, I will say. But there wasn't much of an emphasis on him. There was a lot of great action, though. Like, just remembering this movie with Safi, when she did her list, it makes me want to watch it again. Like, I might watch that tonight because, just remembering how good this movie was, and I own it on Blu-ray. That's how much I love this movie. Number 12 is Doctor Strange. I can't emphasize enough how good this movie is. You got Benedict Cumberbatch playing this character who's like an arrogant jackass. He's not a typical likable babyface superhero. He is a jackass, and he is full of himself, and his character, the transformation that he goes through, it's a very, very good transformation and story. And I love the cinematography with the break. It's basically like Inception meets Doctor Strange. And I love that. The villain played by Mads Mikkelsen, he's surprisingly a good villain. Like, he is surprisingly a good villain. Even though he could have just been a generic guy. I think his name is like Caecilius. I did not like the Ancient One, obviously. I don't know why they did that. That did not work at all for me. I did not like that either. She was also a tokenized Ancient One because they tokenized her in the reverse direction, and she was trash. And then, of course, they also tokenized Baron Mordo. Oh God. Oh. He is terrible in this movie. Like, he is just abysmal. And then in the sequel, they give him dreads, and he is the worst in this movie. He is not the character at all. They did a terrible job casting Doctor Strange's arch nemesis. And but the thing is that the movie's really, really good. Like, the movie is so entertaining. I've seen it multiple times. It is a very good movie. Number 11 is The Avengers. This movie is a comic book fan's dream. It is everything a comic book fan would want put together into one movie. It is an event movie. It is a finale by Joss Whedon. And he knows how to do great finales. And that's what this is. There are so many epic, action-packed finale moments. So many finale-worthy things, like, the moment where Loki has Hulk break out of the thing and then destroys everything and frees Loki, and, that was fantastic. And then the final battle with Loki and Hulk beating him up and going, puny god, that was so epic. The first time I saw that, I was cheering. And then the best part of the movie for me was the fight between Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. That was really, really good. Joss Whedon, he's so good. The one thing that I don't like about the movie, though, is there's this part where, like, they have to get the helicarrier up and running, and they have to, like, do this, like, mechanical stuff, and it's not that entertaining. But most of the movie is really, really good, and it's perfect. This is the perfect Avengers movie. It is light years better than any of the other Avengers movies, sorry to say. Number 10 is X-Men First Class. This movie is a classic superhero movie. the thing that I love about this movie is the characters that they set up, the way that we see the transformation of these characters. We get to see Professor X and Magneto's friends, and we get to see how they become enemies. And it's not really like a hatred type of thing. And that's what I really loved about the movie, was that they like naturally have to become enemies for like the world to be in a natural order, because they have these different key beliefs. And then I love Kevin Bacon as the villain of the movie. So many great things in this movie. This movie is highly underrated. And it isn't the most rewatchable movie, I'll say that, but the final battle is very, very good with the whole missiles and the nukes. That was really good. So yeah, I love this movie. I love it. Number 9 is Civil War. This movie is epic. It's incredible. I've seen it so many times that the reason why I think there's a lot of problems with this movie, but I have rewatched it so many times. Like, it is probably the most rewatchable MCU movie ever, because I just watched it over and over and over again. It is highly entertaining to me, and there's a lot of great things in it, though, like the final fight between Captain, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man at the same time. That is one of the best fights in MCU history, if not the best fight in the MCU history. And that was epic. That fight, that three-way fight, was epic. And the villain, I thought the villain, Baron Zemo, I thought he was pretty good. I liked his motivation. I thought that was cool, tying it into Avengers Age of Ultron. I liked seeing a lot of the people and how they differed, and how they, how Wanda gets close to Vision, and how Hawkeye like breaks her free and everything. I loved there's so much stuff to love in this movie, like Black Panther. This is the best Black Panther has ever been in the MCU in this movie. He was cool in this movie, and him fighting Bucky and chasing after him, I was like, yeah, get him, Black Panther, but don't hurt him very much, because he's not bad. He's hypnotized or mind controlled. Number 8 is Iron Man. This is another classic. I remember seeing this movie in theaters with my brother and just feeling like this was a special movie. It was a very inspiring, very uplifting film. It didn't take itself too seriously like a lot of these MCU movies do. And Robert Downey Jr. is perfect as Iron Man. The villain was perfect. Obadiah Stane, he was a great villain. And yeah, this is just such a great movie. Like, I've now seen it like 5-6 times. That moment when he breaks out of the cave and he kills all those terrorists, that was just, Iron Man was epic in this movie. He is never as epic as he's been in this movie. Even in that fight with Thanos, he's never been as epic as in this movie. Number 7, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This movie is it is a great movie in general. Like, the Russo brothers did a really good job with making Captain America likable, and making him cool, and making him badass, and having this like spy thriller with him and Black Widow, and she's a great kind of femme fatale type of character, and then Winter Soldier is a great character, and the whole dynamic that he has with Captain America. And yeah, this is a great movie. Absolutely phenomenal. I remember watching this movie in theaters with Safi, and just thinking like, that was a good movie. Like, I don't have anything really bad to say about it. Like, I love it whenever that happens. Oh, I'm almost done. Number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This movie is it gets a lot of hate from people, a lot of undeserved hate, because of the comedy. And I will admit, I did not like how Drax turned into a giant joke. I did not like a lot of the jokes that kind of got beaten to death, like the whole this root isn't ripe. That was a bad joke, and stuff like that. But there's a lot of greatness in this movie. The sequence with Groot getting the toe and getting the key to break out. That was so hilarious. And that whole sequence with Nebula being this villain character who takes over this ship and starts murdering people on this ship. It was a very dark sequence, and I really loved that sequence. And I loved Kurt Russell as this villain who he's kind of like deceiving, and he's like, he's Star-Lord's father, and they have a great dynamic. Star-Lord's good in this movie. You killed my mom. I remember that line, remember that moment very well. And then I did think that I didn't like how he turned into like a giant pink sludge or whatever, but it was pretty good. This movie was the perfect summer blockbuster superhero movie. Like, I am so mad that I listened to the critics and I didn't go see this movie in theaters. I really regret not seeing this fun summer movie in theaters. It was so good. And, yeah. And it's too bad that Drax the Destroyer, I mean, his character, he's just turned into a giant joke, and it's sad because he's supposed to be this, like, really powerful superhero in the comics. And it's too bad they made him a joke. He should have been the one to kill Thanos, honestly. So I hated that, what they did with that. Okay. Yeah, I can't even see anymore because it's so dark out. Number 5 is Spider-Man. This is an iconic superhero movie. It set the ground for everything. I mean, this origin story was so inspiring as a kid. Spider-Man was the everyman. Nobody talked about, Tobey Maguire looks like he's 50. Tobey Maguire cries like a normal person. Like, who cares if he cries? Like, men aren't supposed to cry, I guess. That's misandrist, I guess you'd say. Who cares if he cries when Uncle Ben dies? Like, really? You're making fun of the fact that someone cries when their uncle dies? And then you have the whole story with Uncle Ben, such phenomenal storytelling with that, with how he wants to get revenge, and then it doesn't do anything for him. And then you have Green Goblin, phenomenal villain. It's too bad he's in a Power Rangers costume. There's a lot of great... He is basically like Spider-Man's Joker in this movie, and he does such a great job. There's so many great moments, like the Thanksgiving dinner, and so many great moments that, we'd never get to see if this movie was made in the MCU, because they would worry that it's too goofy, it's not realistic enough, a lot of stuff like that. And then, of course, the husband line, that never would have been in an MCU movie because that's offensive. Number 4 is Daredevil Season 2. This was a fantastic season of TV. I will say that it disappointed me greatly because there was a leak that said that Punisher was going to have this sequence where he had a sniper rifle and he kills like 20,000 people in like one shot. And I thought that sounds really epic. And so I was sad that they didn't have that in the show. And I didn't like how the show turned from Daredevil versus Punisher to Daredevil and Elektra. I really didn't like the second half as much as the first half. The first half was perfection. And that scene, that episode with Daredevil versus Punisher, will never forget that episode. So perfect. And then number 3 is Daredevil Season 1. This is the show that got everything going in the Marvel Netflix universe. and it is another classic. You got Kingpin, fantastic villain, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who Vincent D'Onofrio also played the best Thor. When he played Thor in Adventures in Babysitting, kinda. This show with Kingpin, the way that he's introduced and he kills that guy, smashes his head in the car. He is a perfect villain. And the show, Daredevil, he really stands out. Like, he is such a great protagonist. He's a flawed protagonist. He's got his ups and downs. He's got his friends. He's got his enemies. He's a perfectly balanced character, as Thanos would probably say. And he's great. He is so good. The hallway fight. I mean, the hallway fight is the best scene in MCU history, for sure. And then number 2 is Daredevil Season 3. This season completely outdid the first 2 seasons, with bringing Kingpin back as the villain, and also finally having Bullseye versus Daredevil. Bullseye is a fantastic villain as well, and Kingpin. I mean, you got double epic villains in this season. And Karen Page, she's really bad in Season 2, but she really redeems herself in Season 3. Foggy's in a lot of Season 3. And yeah, like, I really miss Daredevil. Like, Daredevil was so good. Why did they get rid of Daredevil? Oh, what a stupid decision that was. Number 1, my last one, finally, I can tear this up. Finally, I'm done. Oh, shit. Dinner's ready, too. Fuck. No, number 1, dinner just heated up in the oven. Number 1 is Spider-Man 2. This is the best superhero movie of all time. It has everything you could want in a superhero movie. There are so many classic moments in it. It's pizza time, and then the raindrops are falling on my head. That was hilarious. And the transformation of Peter losing all of his power and having to gain it back again after he lost it, and having to basically believe in himself. And Otto Octavius, he is the greatest villain ever. He is just so good because he's not fully evil. And he's such a great character, and there's horror elements in this movie too that are really good, very dark for a kid's film. And the story with Mary Jane, and he doesn't know how to get her, and it's a very relatable story. And then obviously she almost marries J. Jonah Jameson's son. That was a very good storyline, and very, very satisfying, epic movie. And let's not forget, let's end with this, okay? Let this be the final thing. That train fight between Otto Octavius and Spider-Man, that is just the epitome of superhero fight scenes. Like, that sequence was so good. And then ending it with Spider-Man, and he starts webbing and webbing and webbing and webbing, and he's got to hold on to keep the train from falling off into the ocean and saving all these people. And then you see all the people, after he saves him, they lift him up and they put him down, and they take off his mask and they say, he's just a kid, we're not going to tell anybody. And that is the greatest. It's just Spider-Man 2. There is nothing in Spider-Man 2 that I see wrong. Spider-Man 2 is perfection. The only thing that I would say is that Mary Jane, as usual, she's kind of a bitch. And, but the thing is that, it's easy to say that, but, life is complicated. And, I will say, though, that, I wish that her love interest, out of all the things in the series, I really wish that Mary Jane would have been better. I really wish she wouldn't have just been the damsel in distress all the time. But I still like her. I mean, she's fine. A lot of people hate on Kirsten Dunst too. I like her. I think she's cool. So, anyways, wow, I'm done. Finally, I basically just made a whole movie on accident. The length of a movie. I don't know. Oh, this is gonna suck editing. Anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought about my list, give me your list, and then subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more list videos. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.